And you're going to see that you show up for everybody else but yourself. But without that external validation, she doesn't seem to have the ability to validate herself. Do you feel like you need external validation before you value the thing that you do? Whether that external validation is a paycheck or a thank you or a compliment or some external recognition for what you're doing. This is something that just came up in a call with one of my clients, and she was just saying, I'm willing to do all this extra effort for these people. You know, she's done all this for these different people, but she just cannot seem to make the same level of effort for herself. Well, it is a form of self-sabotage, but without going into the whole self-sabotage conversation, below the self-sabotage is a sense of her inability to self-validate. When she gets a paycheck, it's proof she's done something. When she gets a thank you, it's proof that someone has recognized her value and her contribution. But without that external validation, she doesn't seem to have the ability to validate herself. This is sometimes the base of many of the self-sabotage situations, because if you are the only one seeing what you do, no one's going to know what you're doing. You're just doing, this is one of the reasons why accountability has been so useful for people, because if it is up to them to say, go to the gym every day, they may not go. But if they know someone else is going to check up on them or someone else is meeting them there, then they can do it, because they need that external validation of them doing the thing that they were going to do. They need an external source to keep them on track, not an internal compass or an internal motivation. They need an external one. And that external one, there's nothing wrong with the external one, but when it is absent, if you don't learn to develop that within yourself, then you will run out of steam really quickly. It's why a lot of people may be motivated for a day or two and then quit, because they don't have that internal mechanism to keep going when they're the only ones seeing what they do. They're the only ones seeing that they showed up. They're the only ones seeing their progress over time. And they're the only ones that have to turn around and say, "Atta girl, you did a good job," to yourself. When you can't self-validate and feel like you are worthy and you are valid just because you are, and for no other reason, that is tapping into your God-given identity and your God-given sense of worth. But the fact is that the Bible says that before you were even born, God knew us, and He has already deposited into each of us or reason for being here, or contribution to the world. So we worship God, we serve others. You need to be able to self say, "Good job, atta girl, atta boy," to yourself, and keep going until the thing on the outside is manifested from what God has put on the inside. But that fruit is not going to show up until all of the growth process has taken place. That is why farmers are often referred to in the Bible, because they totally understand the concept of the difference in seasons between when the seed is planted and when the harvest will be expected. And there's a lot of things that can interrupt the action from seed planting to harvest. And they know that in between the seed planting season and the harvest season is a lot of work, a lot of unthanked work, a lot of work that nobody sees, a lot of work that it doesn't matter what is going on around you. You still have to show up and do it. You still have to plow, you still have to weed, you still have to fertilize, you still have to water, you still have to do. Nobody's seen you do it. Nobody's going to thank you for doing it. But when you produce the harvest, everybody benefits. So you have to be able to self-motivate. And it's hard. I know it's hard. I get it. It's hard. But the inability to do so is going to stunt your growth. And you're going to see that you show up for everybody else but yourself. Now, maybe you stay an employee. And that way you'll continue to get the external validation, the reason to show up every day and do what you need to do and do that thing. It will still be an outpouring of your own talent and abilities that's God given, but this time it's for the external validation. You're going to show up because somebody else is instructing you to show up. You're going to show up because somebody else is paying you to show up. You're going to show up because you want the paycheck. You're going to show up because you love your boss. Whatever. There are some external driving mechanism that makes you get up and do it what you need to do. And if that's you, then keep doing that. That's still better than laying in your bed and just, oh, woe is me, and just, feeling purposeless. So even if that purpose needs external validation, then deal with it. Just accept it, acknowledge it, and work with it until you find it within yourself to, I don't know if it's a love yourself thing. That I'll have to dissect some more. But what I do know is that internal drive, that internal self-validation thing is real. And without it, a lot of you are going to self-sabotage. You're not going to show up to do the thing you need to do. You're not going to keep showing up consistently to accomplish the outcome, because a lot of things have seasons. Planting seasons and harvest seasons, and seasons in between those two. And if you can't self-validate, attaboy, attagirl, show up for yourself, just be excited for your own growth process that nobody is seeing and nobody's thanking you for. If you can't do that for you, you might self-sabotage, but at the end of the day, go do that thing for somebody else. And at least you will be living in your purpose. You will feel purpose to your life every day, even if it means it is happening because of external validation. If that's what you need, go find it. Go set up the ecosystem for yourself where you get that external motivation, where it's a paycheck, where it's a person, where it's a community, whatever it is. It may be that that's what you need for right now, and there's no shame in that. It's better to show up in that environment and live in purpose than lay in a bed and wonder why you're not living in purpose, why you're not doing anything, because you just don't have that internal drive. So either work to find the internal drive, to develop it within yourself, and just stay on the grind consistently, even when it's thankless and nobody sees it and you're just doing it because it needs to be done. But until you can get to that place, find that ecosystem that will help you thrive. A community, a job, a boss, a mentor, a coach, a friend. Create that ecosystem for yourself. And then maybe with time, you'll also develop an internal ecosystem that allows you to show up for you until what's in you manifests on the outside as fruit that others can benefit from. The purpose of your life is to worship God and serve others, and that serving of others is going to be the manifestation of what God has deposited in you, coming out as the fruit of your labor that others can enjoy. The thing you've made, the offer you've created, the message you have, the product you've produced, whatever it is going to be an external visual manifestation of what is inside of you. But it won't show up if you're laying in a bed, oh, woe is me, and not doing anything. So go create that environment until it becomes internal to you. Trudy Behrman here. I'm super simple to find, and I do look forward to connecting and working